Hi, in this video, I'm going to be talking about note making and summarizing. Note making is very useful when we come across new information. It is not always possible to remember the entire content. So in cases like this, note making comes handy in recalling the key information. Notes are important to consult when undertaking a comprehensive exercise, while writing essays, for preparing reports, etc. So this note making is focused chiefly for class 12 students. How to start with note making, what are the things to be included and what are the things not to be included, and how to face the exam. So in note making, it is not easy to remember everything when we come across information. In cases like that, note making becomes handy. For example, like when we are in a church service or in any function, we try to note down some important points. So in cases like that, we cannot write down each and every word the speaker speaks. So what we can do is we can note down some important points that also comes under note making. So note making is very useful in the sense that even I practice even now, in the sense that whenever I go to any function or to any event, what I do is I try to note down some important points and make it in a note making format. That way I'm able to refer to it after some time, and that is why note making is very useful. Even when we go to classes or attend classes, we cannot note down each and every word our professor speaks. So what we can do is note down some important points by making it in a note making format. That way it becomes very handy. So while making notes, there are some points which we need to keep in mind. The first thing is try to avoid articles a, an, or the. So it should be short and specific, and as far as possible also try to avoid prepositions along with articles. So articles, what are articles? Articles are the a, an, or the. So avoid those, and in some cases we cannot avoid prepositions, but in most cases prepositions can also be it can also be avoided. So this is also one key factor of note making: avoid prepositions and articles. However, in some cases prepositions cannot be avoided, so keep in mind that. So when making notes, only the main information is retained while the remaining is left out. So we are kind of filtering only the important points, not some which are or which will not be useful, or which can be avoided. So try to retain or try to note down only the important points and leave out the less important ones. This is a format which has to be followed for a good note making. So here, at all times, care must be taken to ensure that notes make sense at a later time when referred to. So it has to be meaningful. It has to make sense. Otherwise, it will not be of any sense. So It has to make sense. Make sense at a later time when referred to. So this is it. At all times, care must be taken to ensure that the notes make sense at a later time when you refer it. Maybe after a week or 2 weeks or 3 weeks, whatever the time frame is. So here, give a suitable title after reading the passage. Read the passage very carefully and critically. Read the passage straight through. Do not stop to look up anything that gives you trouble at the first reading. You should get a feel for the author's tone, style, and main idea, and read it for the second time. Rereading should be active rereading. Underline the topic sentences and key facts with your pencil. Label the areas that you want to refer to as you write your summary. Also, label the areas that you find irrelevant. Identify areas that you do not understand and try to clarify those points. So, of course, you will have a lot to write in your exam. You only have 3 hours, and apart from note making, you have a lot to write. So, it is very important that you make use of your time very carefully. So, give a thorough reading. The first reading, you have to read it at least twice in order to give a good note making. So, set this time for note making. First reading and second reading. In the second reading, try to underline some key topic sentences or key facts which will be which you can use when you start making notes. So here, give a suitable title after reading the passage. So after the first reading and the second reading, give an appropriate title after reading the passage. Remember, in your exam, title also carries marks. So I have checked so many papers as a teacher, and in most cases I have come across some papers where students did not mention the title. So in cases like that, your marks will be deducted, mostly 1 mark. Prepare notes in phrases. Remember, note making is about extracting only the main points. Do not be conscious about being grammatically correct. That is absolutely not important here. Whether your sentence is grammatically right or wrong, it doesn't matter. The main thing is you need to sort of pick out only the main points and sort of try to condense it. So in case like this, one example is, the elephant is an animal. The elephant is an animal. So that is a full-fledged sentence. But while preparing your notes, you can say like, elephant is animal. So we understand that elephant is an animal. So here you can just write elephant is animal instead of writing the elephant is an animal, because both ways you are able to understand, or we are able to understand. So note making is only about retaining only the important points and leaving out points which are not really necessary. So again, do not use complete sentences. Remember, if your note making is filled with complete sentences, long bulky sentences, then it is not a good note making. So please be aware about that. It should be short and to the point only. Use bullet point format. So we'll be going across that as well. As we move on, I'll be explaining it to you how to use bullet point format as well. So how to start? Before starting, make sure to read the passage at least 2 times. So we've discussed about that. Before starting, make sure to read the passage at least 2 times. The first reading, you don't do anything. You don't have to do anything. Just read the passage very carefully and critically. Read it just thoroughly. Do not stop. Do not be distracted. You should get a feel of the tone or the style of writing there, and you should be able to get some idea as you read it thoroughly, the first reading. And in second reading, you grab your pencil and underline the topic sentences and key facts with your pencil, and label the areas that you want to refer to as you write your summary. And only after that, provide a suitable title. So once you're done with that, provide a suitable title for your note making. Remember, try to give a very good title, and you don't have to worry about that. Once you read it for the first time and for the second time. After that, you'll be able to get the idea to give a title, so you don't have to worry about that. And another important thing is use abbreviations if required. For example, BC, before Christ. Government, you can just write as gov, govt, and for words like and, you can use short forms. And for numbers, instead of like TWO, you can also use 2 just in number. So this is an example which I've written down for you, because you'll be writing with your pen, and I want to show you clearly how it is written. So here, heading or title of the topic. Give a suitable title and appropriate title for your note making, and it should be at the top. And as we go down, these are subheading. So here, 1 point, and then you start writing here, subheading. So the points which come under the first subheading, these are points under subheading 1. So 1.1 point, and then which comes under it. For example, like you're talking about elephant, so physical structure of elephant, this can be the subheading. For example, like the subheading can be physical structure of elephant. So under the subheading physical structure of elephant, 1.1, big ears, large body, so something like that. You don't have to mention again an elephant has big ears, elephant has big body. You don't have to mention that, because in the title we're talking about an elephant. So here, structure of an elephant, structure of elephant. So try to avoid articles, avoid it, because even if you don't add articles, you'll be able to understand it. We'll be able to understand it. So that's the point. And so like I've said, so 1.1, 1.2, 1.3. Remember, it has to be perfectly aligned, in sense that, remember, all these points which comes under subheading 1 cannot go this side. It has to be, it has to be perfectly measured. And then you don't have to measure it with your scale, but it should follow the format. For example, like you cannot just write it together like this. The subheadings, the subpoints which comes under the subheading, don't write it like straight like this together. You write in such a way that this 1.1, 1.2, 1.3 comes under the subheading 1. So that's it. And for example, like if you have something more to describe about this 1.3 which comes under subheading 1, you can also write it again. For example, like 1.3.1, in sense that you are talking about the structure of an elephant here. Structure of elephant. So big ears, huge body, long trunk. So for example, like you've given here long trunk under 1.3. In 1.3, under subheading 1, you have given a long trunk. So if you want to describe more, or if you want to explain more about the trunk of an elephant, you can do so by following this. For example, 1.3.1, 1.3.2. So long trunk, useful and all this. You can also write here its usefulness and all this, and remember how it is aligned. It is not written in such a way that it is just like this, but remember, as you can see, like I've told you, it has to be perfectly placed in a specific position. So now if we look at subheading 2, so like subheading 1, subheading 2 also follows the same as subheading 1. So under subheading 2, remember, do not cross this. Just be inside here, these areas, the points which comes under subheading 2. So 2.1, 2.2, 2.3. So like this, and you make sure that you write it in these areas only. Do not cross this side. And if we look at subheading 3, remember, like subheading 1, subheading 2, and subheading 3, you also give one title for this subheading 3, and you can continue writing points which come under subheading 3. So 3.1, 3.2. And if you want to add something more for the point 3.2 which comes under subheading 3, you can do so by again following the same format. Remember, do not cross this. It's perfectly aligned here. So 3.2.1, 3.2.2. So that this is how it will go about. So what you can do is, like I've told you, give the title for your note making, and these are the sub points, subheading, and the points which come under subheading 1, these are all points which come under subheading 1. And like I've told you, do not cross this area. Alright, just make sure that do not cross this area. The same goes with here and also here and here and here. So make it neat and clean so that you'll be able to refer it, and you'll be able to understand even after 2-3 weeks. So subheading 2, subheading 3, and mention the points. And another important thing is these abbreviations. It is always good to use abbreviations because you'll not be able to use some word because they're long, and you can use it in short forms. So for example, like government. For government, you can use govt or govt, and for different, you can use diff, and for information, you can use info. So abbreviation box should be in between note making and summarizing. You make a small box, for example, like this is your answer sheet. So you make a box in between note making and summarizing. So the summary will come just under abbreviation. Alright, so follow this format: abbreviations in between note making and summary. Please keep that in mind. So here, summary should be written in complete sentences. Remember, in summary, grammar is important again. Your grammar will be looked at, so make sure that it is written in a full-fledged sentences. Be aware of grammatical errors. And in your exam, some students, what they do is they don't want to prepare this note making, so what they do is they just write down the summary. So if you do that, remember, you'll not get even a single mark. Because why? The reason is summary is a product of your note making. It should be from note making. So you cannot give a summary by just looking at the passage. You should give note making, and summary should be from note making. If you mention any other points which are not included in your note making, then it becomes invalid and incoherent. So summary should be written in complete sentences. Be aware of grammatical errors. So word limit for exam is 80. So make sure that you don't cross say maximum 85 or 90 at the max, but try to keep it in 85. That's the summary. And in your summary, you have given the title for your note making. So in your summary, you don't have to provide the title again. That is also another thing. You don't have to give a title again. Just write summary, and you can just underline it and just go about with it. Just when you start writing, you can just write summary and just underline it, and then you can just go about with your note making. So here I have prepared this note making, the importance of note making. So let's look at it again. So this is the title, note making. Importance of making notes. So this is the subheading, and these are the points which come under subheading 1. So importance of making notes, the point which comes under subheading 1, helps remember important information. So here for important, I have given a short form, and I've given here 1, and then information, INF 2. So in your abbreviation box for important, just write 1 and then imp, IMP, and you can give a colon and then write important. And for information, you just write 2, number 2, and just give this INFO and then give a colon, and then you can start again. So that's how you make use of your abbreviation box. Moving on, so here, importance of making notes, helps remember important information. It can easily be consulted, helps in preparing for exams. So here I want to add one more point which comes under this point, helps in preparing for exams. So here I want to add one more point. So what I do is, here, just look at it. Here, just look at the number, how I have just given it, 1.3.1. So here, useful in reports and essays, not sports, sorry about that, just got confused with it. I was watching football just earlier. I must have caught up with sports. So here it should be report. So useful in reporting and essay writing. And again, the position of all these points, remember, it's not crossing this area, so make sure that you don't cross this area. And even here, so it's like this. And in your exam, you'll get this answer sheet, and there will be this margin here, but make sure that you don't write all these points outside here. It should be inside the margin, not outside. Remember, this outside margin is only for you to write the question number when you start writing your answer. So do not get mixed up with the numbers outside. It should be inside here, this area. Alright, so moving on. So here, structure of notes. Let's look at all the points which come under structure of notes. So keep only important information, use shorthand, avoid complete sentences, maximum use of abbreviations, maybe like um, you can use 3 or 5 around the range. You can use symbols and all this, and for example, like for this n, you can use symbol like this, which we like normally use. So bullet point format, so this is the bullet point format, how we have been using it. All this comes under this bullet point format. Moving on, give a suitable heading. Heading is important. It carries mark. Read passage 2 to 3 times. Reading it 3 times can be a bit challenging because of the time limit, so it will be difficult. However, you should read it at least 2 times if you want to give, or if you want to write a good note making. So set aside this time for note making because it carries 8 marks and you don't want to lose that. So here 2017 question paper. So this is how you'll get it, your question paper. Read the following passage and prepare notes on the contents of the passage and summarize in about 80 words using the notes that you have made. So here, look at this. Summarize in about 80 words using the notes you have made. So remember, summary is a direct product of your note making. It is not from any other external sources. It is only through your note making. So if you give only the summary in your exam and not the note making, remember, you're not going to get any mark. That's how it is. So summary carries 3 marks, your note carries 5 marks. So this is huge and you cannot avoid it. So read the passage and prepare notes on the contents of the passage. This is how you should go about. So that's all, folks, and I hope you remember all the important points. Prepare notes using phrases only. Never use complete sentences. The topic sentence of each paragraph is the main point, and it should also be linked to the title as well. Provide an appropriate title for the notes as given in your question paper. Include a minimum of say around 4 to 5 or say 6 distinctly different recognizable short forms. Remember, don't make any short forms which are like so new and so strange. It should be a bit familiar. Cover all the important points in the notes meaningfully to prepare your summary. Remember, your summary should be in about 80 words. 80 words is that's the limit given in your exam, but you can cross say like 85 or 90 at the most, but do not cross that. And write the summary in complete sentences in a paragraph. Remember, it should be a single paragraph, one single paragraph, not 2 3, one single paragraph in about 80 words. So read the passage very carefully and critically. Read the passage straight, reread it again, and in your second reading, read it with your pencil. And once you're done with that, the second reading, write the main idea of each paragraph in one well-developed sentence. Make sure that what you include in your sentence are key points and not minor details. Remember, only key points, only important points, not unnecessary details. And once you're done with that and you're note making, reread your summary and make sure that you have accurately represented all the key points. Make sure that your summary does not contain your own comments. Revise your summary for style, grammar, and punctuation. And after that, you'll be good to go. So this is it. If you have any doubts, you can mention it in the comment section below. So that's all, and I hope to see you in the next class. Thank you.